Okay, hello, good evening folks. Welcome back once again to Let's Play Suzerain. Should I turn the music down a touch? Just a little smidgen. Because I was watching the back end of the last stream to catch myself up with what was happening. And I thought the music was a bit loud. But anyway, good evening folks. Hope you are all well. Let me just check something here very briefly. Making sure everything is as it needs to be. Hopefully you can hear me. I think so. My microphone had had moved away from what it should have been. Right, anyway, so since the last session I haven't, as you will clearly see, looked at the news, because I seem to recall that I was going to look at the news and give you the brief version, but I didn't do that, because why would I? Right, okay. Anyway, so the good news from the last session is that the projected economic growth has gone from negative to, it looked level to me, but it's probably still a very slight smidgen going downwards, but not anywhere near as bad as it was before. Right, give me a second, folks. Give me a second. There we go. I'll get there eventually. Jet, welcome. Good evening to you, sir. How are you? How the devil are you? For a brief moment there, I was always talking to myself. Genuinely, had microphone, I say issues, but I put my headset on about 7 o'clock because I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to the Martin Lewis podcast because I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to listen to some of Martin Lewis's podcasts, get the lowdown, and there's two things that is very interesting about his podcasts that's worth looking into, which I'll get round to in a second. But yeah, I had a microphone, so I was switching to my headset, and then when I switched to my headset, I could see that my microphone was not the right microphone. It is in this microphone. It was the headset mic, which makes no sense because I don't have it plugged in. But anyway, so I changed it to the proper microphone and checked my OBS settings, and everything seemed to be fine. So, but then when nobody was talking, I thought, am I audible? Apparently so. Your phone is having random shutdown issues. Good old phones, eh? Right, anyway, for anybody interested or watching after the event or whatever, today's Flim Flam shall be... hello, Nagisa, welcome. Today's Flim Flam shall be the Martin Lewis podcast. Why not? So, I haven't listened to this for quite some time. I used to listen to it in my lunch break at work, because it's usually about 45 minutes, and I take half an hour for lunch, so I listen to it for half an hour. And that's usually enough time, because you kind of skip through the things that don't apply to you. You know, like anything that's applicable just to students. That boat's clearly sailed for me, so I kind of just fast forward that bit and listen to the pertinent bits. So half an hour, plenty of time. So I thought, sorry there, just swore. I thought, I've done myself an injury. So I thought I'd listen this evening to the podcast because I'm going to get back on it, because there's some good money-saving advice on there. Martin Lewis is the guru when it comes to all these kind of things. So I thought to myself, can I say, I don't know, I can save a few pennies. Anyway, Bradley Kleist, good evening to you. Welcome along. So there's two things. First of all, energy pricing. Oh, it's a big crisis, has been for a couple of years now probably, but of course if you follow the energy pricing, the price cap is reducing by 15% or so as of the 1st of April. I mean, we're still enduring the prices at the current prices until the 1st of April, but at the 1st of April the pricing's coming down by 15%, and then it's estimated to come down by a further 10% for the next period. So, you know, potentially up to a reduction of 25% by the time we get to the winter months. So that's, typical fashion. Yeah, put it down when people are going to be using the least amount of gas and electric in the summer months, of course. But anyway, long story short, I was just looking whether or not it was worth finding a fixed deal. Was there any fixed deals out there? And the advice still tends to be no, not really. There are a couple of things out there. Eon, I think it was, that did some kind of a price tracking thing, which could be quite useful. But for little old me, with my little so energy, my advice is to, clearly because their fixed rate is appalling at the moment, is to stay with the standard variable tariff. So that was the first thing. Semi-interesting. Good evening, Cham. The second interesting thing I haven't got to, because I'm streaming and I didn't finish the podcast. But apparently, you may have heard it in the news, for any of you that buy cars brand new on PCP finance, apparently you could be due some money. Now, I don't know the ins and outs of it or how it's come about, but my friend told me last week at work that, you've got PCP, you've had PCP since 2018 on all Ford Fiestas, STs. You might be eligible to get some money back because of the way that they sold the finance deal to you. Apparently there's an issue, or there could be an issue with it, and they've overcharged you. So the second part of this podcast, which I'll watch after the stream, is all about whether or not you've got a chance of getting some money back if you've had a PCP finance deal on a car. So I can't give you the full details, but I can tell you in the next stream what the full details are, and maybe it might be something you might want to have a look into. Almost like the PPI kind of scandal, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna give it a try. If I'm eligible, I'll have a look, I'll listen to what he says, and eligibility criteria, and people that are most likely to get something back, and see if I am due anything. I'd be surprised if I am, because these things never work out for me. PPI, tried it, never got anything. This, probably I'll try it, won't get a damn penny, better than anything. But because I've always, I've been really pleased with the finance deals that I've had with Ford, because I sat and haggled with them. I've told you this. I've sat and haggled with them every time I've gone for a new car with them. I've sat and haggled. I've had pens and papers and calculators out to the shock horror of the guy behind the desk. I'm like, I'm calculating what this is costing me over the whole contract. You can flatter me with your numbers for monthly payments and whatever else, but I want to know how much this is costing me over the entire length of the deal, because that's what I'm paying. Long-term thinking. So I've always felt like I've got an agreeable deal. Maybe because I sit and haggle, and I like to think that I've been successful, but I do believe I've got good deals every time. So I'd be shocked if I get anything back, but you never know, do you? You never know. Anyway, Cham, work was good, actually, because I went into the office today. I decided to myself that, working from home, I used to be very anti-work from home. When working from home became a first thing, then COVID happened, and then they had no choice but to work at home, and because of that, people have got used to it, myself included. Because when we first got our Surface Pros and we were allowed to work from home one day a week, no questions asked, I declined. I never worked at home unless I had like a doctor's appointment or a dentist appointment, which was few and far between, because I was like, no, when I'm working, I want to be out of the house and in work. That's what I want. And having worked from home for 60% of the time over the past, year and a half, I've kind of thought to myself, do you know what, when I do work from home, I do get some work done, but I'm not as productive because the computer is not as responsive because it's on a VPN rather than a wired connection, and things stutter and lag about, and I'm at home, so I'm not out of my pajamas. I don't get out of my pajamas. I don't get out of my dressing gown when I'm working from home. It's not a good mentality to be in. So I thought to myself, actually, do you know what? I'm going to work from home, work from home less than even the 2 days a week I'm allowed. I think I might start going to the office a bit more, because you get in, you're out of the house, you're up, you're ready, you're showered, you're washed, you're changed, you put your clothes on, you get in the car, you go, I park up, then I have to walk for about 10 minutes, a brisk walk to get to the office, which gets the blood pumping, a bit of exercise. When I'm in the office, I walk around, speak to people, more exercise. And then when I sit down and log on, the computer is much more responsive, much quicker, the programs open faster, I'm typing away, I feel like I'm getting like twice as much done than I would be if I was sat at home in my flipping pyjamas, So I actually think to myself, so I was in the office today, is the upshot of this story, and I felt I had a very productive day. I got lots of stuff done. I even afforded myself a lunch break. Because I never have a lunch break. Working at home, I don't even, I do, because I do my exercise actually, but I don't eat. And if I'm not doing exercise, because it's a football day, then I don't do anything, I just work through. Whereas today I thought, no, this is a new regime. I'm going to have a flipping lunch break. So I flipped my computer screen off, flipped my laptop down, and I got my bag of goodies and walked to the far side of the office where all the collaboration comfy chairs are, sat by the window and enjoyed a half an hour lunch break. Nobody bothering me, no screens, and I thought to myself, I need to do this more often, because it's just very easy to sit at your desk and eat, or worse, not have a break at all, which is a very bad practice, and I would berate my own staff if I caught them doing it, but yeah, I do it. One of those kind of do as I say, not as I do type situations, and that's not a good leadership quality, is it? So, yeah, I'm in the office tomorrow, and you know what I've also done? We'll finish the flim flam and we'll start playing the game. What I've also done is, there'll be times that I wake up with the intention to go to the office, and I listen to the weather outside, or I feel like I'm a bit tired, or I think, I've not slept very well. I'll just work from home today. I'll make it up either later in the week, or I'll make it up next week, because it's a 4 week, or it's now monthly average. So if you have 2 days, working from the office this week, then you've just got to make it up later in the week, because you've got to work 3 days. So, there's many times I'll just lay in bed, I wake up, my alarm goes off at 6, I'm like, not today, pal. I'm having another hour in bed, and I'm working from home. Even though I've got my clothes ready, even though my bag's packed, I can take it all out, it's not a problem. So what I've done this evening for the first time, to ensure that I have no choice but to go into the office tomorrow, is I've put my computer, my laptop, in my locker. So if I roll out of bed tomorrow and think, I'm tired, it's raining outside, tough, I've got to go in because I've got no computer here. Tough titties, isn't it? So that's what I'm going to do. Now it's kind of a weird feeling, because my computer's always been at home since 2020. Never has it not been in the house. I've very, very rarely logged on outside of work hours, because I don't do that practice, but I have occasionally to print off or to send emails to myself with my travel tickets on, or stuff like that, or if I wanted to check my calendar to make sure that what am I doing tomorrow, I've got this going on, is it going to clash or whatever. Very rarely, but sometimes. So it's kind of weird not to have my laptop in my house. Really strange, because it's like, not that I need to do anything with it, but it's just not here. So it's a weird thing, but I'm sure I'll get used to it, and it's a great way to ensure that if you're going into the office, you're flipping going into the office. Now, the only slight drawback is if I was to wake up feeling too ill to go to work, as in physically get out, get changed, get ready, walk, I feel dreadful, coughing, spluttering, spreading germs around the office, if that was to come on overnight, which sometimes can happen, then I still have to go into the office, or take a sick day. Whereas if I've got my computer here, I might be too ill to go and do all that stuff and spread germs, but I could work from home with my dressing gown on, hot water bottle, comfortable, do a half day or whatever. So I lose that ability, but that's few and far between that's going to happen, to be honest with you. But anyway, so that's the flim flam, which has gone on for about 10 minutes because we started late. And I think, Nagisa, one of the issues, you've said you like home office, hybrid, work-life balance. Yeah, don't get me wrong, work-life balance is amazing. I could we've talked about in the office, like, how on earth did we ever function as human beings going to work in an office or elsewhere 5 days a week when you're used to working hybrid? How did we physically do it? Because now you go to the office like 2-3 days in a row and you're absolutely knackered. You can't wait to work from home. Like I was travelling to Birmingham last week. I was in Birmingham for 3 days, had a great time. You think I was going into the office on Friday, having worked in Birmingham for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? Going into the office was the last thing on my mind. I rolled out of bed at 7:30, which is a bit of a lie-in for me, and worked from home, and oh, thank God. So, yeah, it is an absolute godsend for work-life balance, and it's great. Also because, when we're working in the office, this is a bit of a bugbear. They may clamp down on this, but you have to plug into the system, or you have to log on to the Wi-Fi to get the ping, because it's now monitored. They've now brought in a monitoring system, so it's now monitored. Whereas before we were going on people's calendars, which is based on people's honesty. Whereas now we've got data, big brothery. But if you log on to the system or you log on to the Wi-Fi, it will register you as being in the office for that day. And last week we just got all the data, so I checked my own data. And I was quite shocked, to be fair, because I have had many a days where I've just done 2 weeks, 2 days a week, and I'm just doing 2 this week, it's fine, because they haven't been really that hot on it. But they're clamping down. But since September, on 3 months I've been a day short for the month, and the other 2 months I've been bang on 60%. So I thought, oh, that's actually much better than I thought. And plus, the day short is to do with the way that they're calculating the 60% compared to how we were previously calculating it, which was more generous to us. Anyway, so that is interesting. But the reason why I was talking about this, Nagisa, is because you said you like a home office. Do you have a separate office for work compared to your usual chilling out office? Because my office is this. That's one of the problems, because I don't have separation from working. I just flip my laptop screen down, put it over there, plug all the wires out, and then, oh, I'm now finished work. There's no switching off, there's no decompressing the day, there's nothing. There's nothing. It's just work, flip, bing, no more work. And then the laptop's still there, haunting me, sat there in the same spot, there it is. Yeah. Whereas if I had a separate office in the house that was just for work, it's a different environment, it's a different place, and you can kind of like, when I'm in that office and working, and when I shut that door, I'm no longer working. You dress up for work. I might try that. It's not a difficult thing to do. Get up, get showered, get clothes on like you're going to an office, and then sit down. And off you go. I might give that a try, actually. That's not a bad idea. And then, when I finished, I wouldn't change my clothes back to home clothes, I don't think. I'd just keep them on. But at least I'm dressed. It's a good start, isn't it? Right, anyway, what do I do for work? I work for the good old government. I basically run a complaints team. So... No, I don't run the whole complaints. That's a lie. I'm not the assistant director. I don't run the complaints team. I run a training team within a complaints team. So the team, it's a team that I joined in 2016. I've always worked for the same team since I joined HMRC, and I have gone through the ranks. I've had 2 promotions while I've been there. So basically, I have done the groundwork, I have done the day job, I have been a complaints investigator, I have been a mentor to complaints investigators, and now I am a training manager. So I run the training team, which consists with another manager, it's 2 of us. So we design the training packages that they get delivered. we manage the trainees that come through, and we also manage the mentors that are mentoring the trainees. So it's a bit of an in-house training team, to the point where actually we've got many people that were coming in. They were coming in from other areas of the department, other teams, and when they've had our training, I'd say about 75% of people have said that actually this is the best training they've ever had in HMRC compared to some of the other areas they've been in, which is a bit slapdash. Ours is a very structured 6-week program of learning, followed by 6 months on the job peer one-to-one mentor support. So we do a pretty good job. So yes, they were calling me a spy. Yes, they did, and I had a right. Well, I say I had a right laugh, because the directors said, because obviously you've seen the chase if you watch the chase, and anybody that says, oh, I'm a civil servant, he always says, "Are you a spy?" So when the director wouldn't obviously give my job description and then talk to the producers in the briefing room, it's like, "Oh, you're a civil servant. Oh, Bradley might ask you if you're a spy, just to be warned." I went, "Oh, don't worry, I've got it covered. I've got a response for him." And off we went on a little preamble before the questions, and it was good fun. Good work on the. Yeah. So what we have, there's been 3 of us. There was 3 of us initially in 2021. One of them who I still see, my good colleague from Manchester, who was the training manager when I first joined, started the training program, and then it's been developed as time has gone on to where it is now. And my current training manager, partner in crime, we've worked closer together for 2.5 years now. She's applied for a promotion. She wants out. She wants a new change, and obviously a promotion as well, you know. So it's like, I wish you very well. I kind of wish you get the job, but I kind of don't. Because where's that going to leave little old me? I mean, obviously they will recruit and get a second training manager, but that's not the same person you've worked with for 2.5 years. You know each other inside out, you know how each other tick, you know each other's strengths and weaknesses, you know you've got each other's back, all that kind of stuff. You've got to start that from scratch with somebody completely new. And both she said it to me, "Why are you going for promotion?" I'm like, I don't want one just right now. My own manager, "Why are you going for promotion?" I don't really want one right now. And the former training manager, who I see every couple of months or so in Manchester, who got her promotion, she's like, "Why are you going for promotion?" I was like, I don't want one right now, because I'm quite happy. I'm doing a job that I can kind of do in my sleep, which is never. Some people might say that's not a good thing, to be fair, because you're not stretching yourself, you're not developing if you kind of just in cruise control mode. And I am in cruise control mode because we've developed the training program. Yes, we have to tweak it. We're just tweaking it at the moment for the new trainees that are coming on the 1st of April. We've got 50 new trainees coming in at the 1st of April. We've got other little projects that we've been doing. But yeah, so, in that respect, it might not be great. But for me personally, I like low stress. And doing a job that I can do in my sleep is low stress. The pay, it's civil service, so it's not great. But I'm the equivalent rank, I'm the equivalent grade as a police inspector. So the civil service ranks compared to the police ranks, I'm the equivalent rank of a police inspector. Not police inspector pay, unfortunately. A good 15 grand short of inspector pay, but it's the civil servants rather than the police. I just found out from an old colleague that the pay for top whack PC since I left has gone up by 10 grand. I'm like, oh, I should have stayed as a PC, or I'll become a sergeant. I'll be earning fortunes. But yeah, so I don't really need the cash. I'm not very money orientated. And therefore, if I don't need the cash so desperately, and I don't need the challenge of a new role, and I'm quite happy in my current role, then I don't really see why I should put myself through the arduous process of having to apply for a new position, which involves having to write an application form with some bloody behaviours in it, no doubt, and then if I get through that little mire, then have to go to a flipping interview where I've got to be questioned and all the rest. I can't be asked. Can't be asked. So right now, no promotions on the cards, but if my colleague does get hers, I might think about it. Because it's kind of one of those things where, well, if you're going, well, then I think I'll just go as well then. You know. Why not? But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, you've had plenty of flim-flam now. Sorry, went off on slight tangents there. Hope you don't mind. But now we can press on with the game with no further distractions. Thank you very much. So we've got 7 news articles. Now, if we remember, last time we left off, we ended up banning membership to the Young Swords and the Red Youth. Tough decision, but I think it's the right decision. So I think we've got probably some news to do with that, and other stuff happened as well. We spoke to Alfonso, the former president, about workers' rights and the gas company, Gasom, I think it was, in Narbel, and then we had to go out onto the steps of the building to the baying mob, and we went out and we gave a speech, placated some people. I think we've probably got the respect of a lot of people for showing our face. So, I think there's lots there to be happy with, in addition to the growth thing. So let's take a look at how that was perceived. So we know, for example, that the policy to ban the Red Youth and Young Swords went through. Now we've been told that that's led to a human rights issue because, it's why are you banning it? People should be free to join whichever organisations they wish. Yeah, technically speaking, but hey, not in this country, pal. We curb your rights where your rights lead to disorder. Hello, Martianized, welcome. You've missed half an hour of flim-flam. I'm just literally started playing the game right now, so you've come at the perfect moment, actually. Unless you want to hear me talk about work, energy price caps, and the potential of getting some money back from PCP finance. Other than that, you've not missed a great deal. So, let's have a look at the news articles. This could be quite scathing. Let's have a look. Administration announces ban on Young Swords and Red Youth. Effective immediately. The administration has announced a ban on the anti-government organisations Young Swords and Red Youth as a response to the recently escalated political tensions. The ban also states that it is strictly illegal and forbidden to carry symbols, clothing and anything that can cause a person to be identified as a Young Sword or a Red Youth member. Any persons who do not abide by the new law will be risking an at least 2-year sentence, depending on the severity of the crime. NFP leader Kibbener and PIFJIB leader Richter both of them have strongly opposed the ban. Wow, well, I'm quite surprised at that. One is far right and one is, I don't know, centre left. And both of them oppose it, which is not good. And this is not good. Ticking off both wings to our old reform, constitutional reform situation, is it? Oh dear. I don't give a flying cahoot. Turning up to funerals, outside, that just caused mayhem. Swordland today, focusing on our speech. President Rain delivered an impassioned speech at the gates of Gasom, addressing the concerns of workers and championing the cause of better working conditions. The President's powerful address is a testament to his dedication to the Swordish people, demonstrating his willingness to listen and respond effectively to their needs. I like the whole sword post. Quite balanced. Yeah, it's quite a neutral article, isn't it? Swordlands Today seems to be pro-president, but is that because I did something good? Or is it just a very pro-president paper, maybe? But anyway, powerful address. President's speech sets a precedent for transparency and open dialogue, marking a pivotal moment in our nation's journey towards progress. Yeah, exactly, just facts. Yeah, I like that kind of situation, just facts. Some of my real-life tendencies often come out in games, as you're probably well aware, and my dislike for reporters, journalists, news people is one of them. Hence why in many a game, reporters get slapped, punched, shepherded, downtrodden, ignored, all that kind of jazz. Because I appreciate you've all got jobs to do, and sometimes they can be a good thing, the old press and journalists. But for the most part, I find spin things, twist things, cling on to things. And it probably stems, actually, probably from my time in the police, where you stood on a scene guard. You've got banners, the police tape round something, it's been a fatal car accident, God forbid, or something bad's happened, roads are blocked off, cordons everywhere. I'm stood there, top hat on, yellow outfit, stood there doing a scene guard. Person saunters up. Oh, what's happened here? Oh, nothing. Usual spiel. Oh, nothing, just been an incident. Oh, right. And sometimes they say, oh, I'm so-and-so from the Yorkshire Evening Post. Are you? Well, you know the protocol. Ring the press office. Anyway. Not quite as rude as that, of course. I didn't want to be complained about. Right. The Shaven Times. Political freedoms restricted. Two of the most popular and symbolic political youth organisations have been banned by the president of South Swordland. The news came out of nowhere when the administration made an official announcement blaming the instability, deaths and violence caused in the past months on both organisations, who have just been stripped of their rights to operate by the Ministry of Interior. Marcel's doing. It's a good job that some of our behind-the-scenes wrangling has paid dividends then. Leaders have made a joint statement against the decision. Right to express their political opinion shouldn't be taken away. And it is rare, that's what I just said, two sides of the political spectrum coming together is not good for us. But hopefully it'll soon be forgotten. All the good that we'll be doing will outweigh this radical banning. Yeah. Red Youth Milanivist rebels at our address led to a tumultuous scene. There's a man tortured horrendously and killed. Turning up at funerals causing a bit... I mean, they were paying respects, but it caused tension. I'm sorry, but I've seen enough. I've seen enough of this nonsense. Hence why we've acted like that. And Gasson steps towards new corporate commitment. Pledged they have to implement sustainable practices and contribute to local charities, suggesting a move towards more responsible corporate behaviour. While the Labour Union of Swordland and the Communist Party of Swordland continue their advocacy for further enhancements, Gasson's commitment is indeed a step in the right direction. Okay, good. Good. Right. And the Radical paper. President's speech, acceptable yet unremarkable. Hang on, which one is it? Stirring and powerful, or acceptable yet unremarkable? They both can't be right, can they? Perfectly acceptable, albeit unremarkable performance. The speech, while touching on the concerns of the workers, failed to provide groundbreaking solutions or significant reassurances. Gasson's empty gesture. Their charity donations and sustainable practices is simply not enough. Yeah, and I hate the radical, putting their opinions right in the headline. Exactly. Yes. We should start taking notes. Okay, so this is my last bit of flim-flam, because I'm flim-flammed a lot today, I'm sorry. When I'm in a good mood and I've had a positive day, you'll get a lot of flim-flam, because I'm in a good mood, I feel like talking. If I don't do a lot of flim-flam, that's your sign that I'm not in a good mood, or I've had a bad day, a hard day, a long day. Anyway. What was I saying? Oh, I've lost my train of thought, which is a good thing, because I can't tell you now what I was supposed to be putting. Radical opinions on headlines. So, it was going to be a really good point I was going to make then. Oh, bugger. Damn it. I had something else I wanted to say. It's very important. Right, it'll come back to me. I know, it happens to me all the time. I have to say it's old age creeping up. Right, what was it? Something had triggered something in my head. Unremarkable speech. Oh yeah, you need to remember about this Saul answering from his crimes, you know, this whole immunity stuff. We were talking about radical and headlines and opinionated headlines. I can't remember. It can't be that important, surely. Oh, okay. We've got quite a lot of stuff here. Read the report. Anti-Red Youth and Anti-Swords Operation. So this is what happened soon as we signed on the dotted line, essentially. Upon receiving the order, thousands of police officers conducted cease and desist operations against the Red Youth and Young Swords organisations. Our forces closed hundreds of organisational offices and affiliated businesses all around the country. Additionally, judges have given orders to block all bank accounts and to freeze all assets. Dozens of peaceful protests from the members of each organisation were forcefully dispersed. 2 separate shootouts, one in Jen and another in Leshaven, have lightly wounded 5 officers who are being treated in hospitals. It was about work. It was about work. I was talking about how if I'm in a good... Oh, no, that was... No, forget that. No, it's not... I thought it was coming back to me. It's not coming back to me yet. Most of the organisational capacity of both entities have ceased, but clean-up operations continue. All remaining elements resisting the order are now being considered as violating the law and are being arrested. Music to my ears. As we also left off, we had some budget left over, but we were debating and listening to where we should be putting this budget. We were talking to the health and education ministers, I seem to recall. So we might have to make a decision on that very shortly. Let's have a look at this. Do we block this? Oh, this is taking budget. So this is the Groony Regeneration and Ecological Economic Nurturing Act. The Green has been proposed by the Assembly, aiming to encourage a more sustainable approach to industry in Groony. So this is Groony, quite a touristy area. They're not happy with the heavy, polluty kind of industry. They want more sustainable, greener kind of stuff. I can see that this game might be right for a President Green type of playthrough. Be interesting, wouldn't it? Section 1 of this Act would impose stricter regs on industrial pollution and waste disposal, particularly in the Groony region. Businesses not complying may face hefty fines, the revenue from which would be invested back into the environmental recovery projects. Section 2 proposes to offer tax breaks to businesses that can demonstrate a significant reduction in their environmental impact over a period of time. A small investment fund is created for eco-friendly business practices. Now, in principle, there's no reason not to sign this. We are all about the people, not about the companies. There is some incentive for companies to do this. Yes, they will be fined, but if they do it, they get tax breaks. And greener, a nicer place to live for the people and for tourism as well. The issue we've got is budget. The issue we've got is, why can't we just be like the real life government and just, you know what, have we got the budget for it? Well, who gives a flying monkey? We'll just go further into debt. It's a couple of trillion already. What's an extra 500 million for this project, eh? So there's 2 things which I want to preserve my budget for. The first thing is I'm almost certain that we're going to face a hiccup with the highway project, which will probably cost us budget. It's me surmising, and perhaps I shouldn't surmise, because it's a bit metagamey. I'm using metagaming principles to assess whether I'm going to pay for that highway project. Although you might argue that it's just good economic practice to save something for a major project in case there are any hiccups, you know. And of course, the education/health stuff. We want to continue to follow our promises, and that is to invest in education. And invest means budget. Now, I don't know if it's going to be 1. It could even be 2. But we certainly need to save 1 as a bare minimum. So this is quite tough. I agree with this. And I think if we veto it, it's probably going to cause some issues. And as silly as it might sound, I'd rather... Somebody did mention that I could go into negative budget. So we do have that option. You can also cut budget to some ministries in the budget to get more, so we can do a bit of budget shuffling. And I would rather veto or decline something because we've got no budget than to save budget, if that makes sense. Because we're vetoing this, but we've got the budget for it. Yeah, but we might need it for the... But we might not. Yeah, but we might. Yeah, but we might not. Whereas if we've got no budget, we've got no budget for it, mate. Oh, okay. You know, we've got an excuse then, haven't we? Whereas here, that's clearly not going to affect it in the game. But what if? We're working on what ifs here. I wonder if this is a real struggle that politicians have. Is this a real struggle that they have? But we might have to say, I'm sure it can't be. Because we're that heavily in debt. I don't know if they tripled the debt or something ridiculous, this government that we're currently farce of a government that's in. So it's not as if, we'll just borrow some more. Just take some, what's the national debt again? Couple of trillion? Yeah. Green projects, not a problem. How much? 500 mil? Yeah. It's a stone's throw. It's a drop in the ocean, isn't it? Yeah, let's do it. Right. My gut instinct is to sign it. And come hell or high water with the budget, this is probably a bad thing, but you never know. I'm sure the government budget must go up as well as down, surely. And we're on the growth. We're going on the growth. As soon as that turns positive, we're fine. We've got trade deals potentially coming up with partners. It'll be fine. And this is green. This is good. This is going to be helpful. Let's put our signature to it. Come on. Stat decreased. Policies updated. We now have investment in Groony. Economic growth. Promoting innovation. Bolstering local businesses. Look at that. News articles. Whole Sword Post. Green Act signed. A leap in the dark. President Anton Ray's signing of the Green Act into law has been met with scepticism. Oh, good. We've wasted budget on this. While the intent behind the Act promoting sustainability and environmental responsibility is admirable, there are concerns that it might place an undue burden on businesses, potentially hindering economic growth. Legislation could have significant impact on the local industry, and its long-term effects remain to be seen. The radical clearly won't like us. President Ray's decision to sign the Green Act into law marks a significant victory for environmentalists across the nation. By imposing stricter regulations on industrial pollution and waste disposal, particularly in Groony, the Act brings the promise of cleaner and healthier surroundings. With provisions for tax breaks for businesses that demonstrate a significant reduction in their environmental impact, and fines for non-compliance, this Act shows that we can balance economic progress with environmental responsibility. Today, Swordland stands as a beacon of hope for sustainable practices in industry, setting an example for the rest of the world to follow. Yeah, and I signed it, alright? Yeah? Unremarkable speech? Some good as well. Growth line down. Did it go down a bit more? No, that is actually more... No. Yeah, that is definitely... That is more noticeable as a decrease, whereas before it looked level, but if you looked hard enough, it was slightly down, I think. Whereas this is more noticeably down. Not to the extent that it was, but definitely gone down. But it's probably one of those short-term things. Probably one of those short-term decreases, but in the long term, it'll be boosted, I'm sure, as a result of this. I'm sure. It's probably the company's just kicking up a fuss at the minute. Oh! Fines, you say? Fines? Yes, sir, fines. So whilst they're having to change their practices, probably hindering, economic growth for a short while, when they get the practices up and running properly, start reaping the rewards of their tax breaks, I'm sure it'll be fine. This said finalisation of the draft bill. That seems quite an important event, so let's have a look. So I was walking into my office, since today was the day to edit and make the final changes for the proposal to change the constitution of Swordland. I don't think we're going to get this done. I think we're screwed with this, but we're going to continue to try. The Reform Committee finally bore tangible results, and the draft of the changes were about to be presented to me. I walked in the marble corridors of the palace, thinking about the huge decisions I was going to take. Now, I seem to recall saying that I will remember which sides want what because it's obvious. It's obvious. Let's see how obvious it is a week later. And I know you've taken notes for me, Martian, so you can help me out, okay? I'm hoping. You all remember, yes, last week's session, I'm sure. Secretary greets us, Livia. Hi, Livia. Busy day today, important day. Could be an important day in the history of Swordland. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Livia. How are you today? Yeah, we're a friendly kind of president. We like to ask how our staff are doing. How are you today, Liv? Liv? Fine, thank you. More importantly, how are you, sir? I feel better now that I've seen you. I'm perfectly fine. Hey, making big decisions is what we signed up for. Can you imagine signing up to be president of a country and not liking making decisions? I think it's the wrong job for you. Good to hear. She paused before taking my coat. Looked like she had something on her mind. Mr. Rain, can you give me a hint about your reform plans? If you ask me, taking away the judge's immunity is long overdue, but it might anger a lot of people in these halls. You sweetheart, Jesus. Yeah, well, nothing has been quite decided yet, Livia. But it hasn't really, has it? Oh, I hope you keep me informed. I'll take your coat now. Yeah, Livia needs to stop being nosy. Right. Coat's gone. I entered my office. Straight in my cuffs. Took my hat off because we're inside. You can't be seen with your hat on inside, or can you? Are we a kind of inside wearing hat person? No. Okay, we sit. Desk. Where's my cup of tea? Yeah, I'm on blast station. Anyway, not long after, Joker Peter arrives, together with Nia, Minister of Justice, and of course Lucien Gallard, our Chief Strategist. The old committee here. Good morning, everyone, we say with gusto. Let's see how much gusto we've got at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock this evening, once we finish fleshing all this out. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning. Time to finally get this proposal going. Peter places the draft in front of me. After your modifications, we will be starting the process. Right. Let's go over each of the points that are in discussion, shall we? Let's make sure we've got everything crossed and dotted, and we've got everything considered. Well, apart from the first two sections of decreasing the Supreme Court's authority and limiting the presidential vetoes, nothing else has been agreed on unanimously. We can start talking about Section 3. This is about the impeachment process of the President. Currently, in cases of high treason and breaking the Constitution, the Supreme Court may impeach and try the President. Most reformists want the impeachment to be initiated by the Assembly. They think they do not have any power over potential rogue presidents that would abuse their power. It's talking about the initiation of the process. Because obviously I think it's the court's job to do the actual impeaching, isn't it? And try us, because it's a court. But in terms of triggering the process, initiating it, the Assembly initiating it, I don't think it's a major problem. I don't plan to be impeached, so I'm not that fussed, really. I mean, inadvertently, if we do something that's an impeachable offence, I mean, we're talking about here high treason and breaking the Constitution. We don't intend to do any of that. So, do you know what? They're only starting the process. It still has to go to the court in the end, I'm assuming. If I've got this wrong, do correct me. So I think it's fine. And plus, if it goes to the court, you know, it's got to be evidence. You know, if some assembly roguishly decide to have me put through the mill for impeachment, and they've, you know, evidence. What evidence you got? All right. So, do you know what? Yeah, let's give him oversight. It's fine. It's fine. We're talking serious crimes here, you know. Oh, this law is particularly dangerous for you in this case. We will be going against the old guard, and if we prove to be successful in the Assembly, they will be looking for anything they can declare unconstitutional to tackle you. All they need is a Supreme Court to impeach you. That's a good point. The Supreme Court, Chief Justice Orser, whatever he's called, we made an enemy of him, and he's the Chief Justice. So if we get falsely accused of breaking the Constitution, we've heard how he operates. He finds loopholes in these kind of things. He'd have me impeached in a heartbeat, wouldn't he? That's a good point, Peter. You finally actually made a good point, Peter. Bloody hell. As much as I don't intend to be breaking constitutions and committing high treason, tactically, could be dangerous. We could even remove impeachment altogether. That's probably a bit too extreme, isn't it? I can do what I want. We should define a better impeachment process. That's kind of an interesting take on it. What could possibly be better? Rain, have you got an idea? Yes, we will be collaboratively working on the specifics. Section 4. This is regarding the appointment of ministers. Currently, the President is free to appoint anyone from the members of the Assembly. Nobody else is involved with the process. There's definitely a demand to involve the Assembly in the process. It's my cabinet. It's my cabinet. I should choose. I mean, we can choose from the entire Assembly. We could have other party members in the cabinet if we deem it necessary. What's a confidence vote? And I don't think we're committing here. Again, I don't think we're committing, but I mean, that is going a bit far, is my initial thoughts on this. But this is you know, more Assembly is probably a Mr. Piffjib kind of affair. This is screaming out for Mr. Piffjib. We think we should all be choosing the cabinet members here. And we kind of need them on side a little bit, don't we? So, confidence vote would be the Assembly can vote to remove one of your cabinet votes. That's a happy halfway medium, isn't it? We can pick, but then they can have a confidence vote. Again, tactics could come into play. We've got to remember also that this is a constitution, and this constitution will probably last longer than we're in power, maybe even last longer than we're alive. So as much as some of these things might not be, impeachment, well, I'm not going to be impeached, so what does it matter? Well, actually, for future presidents, think a bit long term here, think about the country. You might get a president that needs to be brought to task. Same with this process. So I think confidence vote. Exactly, historical event. I don't think it's the Assembly's job to appoint a cabinet. It's my cabinet as president, and it's future president's cabinet. But if there is a member that's not doing the job properly, or is clearly, an issue with that particular member, then I think a confidence vote is not a bad kind of halfway house. So I think we'll go with that one. Nia agrees. Good on you, Nia. Great minds. I'm sure the reformists would completely support that. I think we're doing a good job here so far. I think we've got it all covered. I think we're laughing. The fifth section is about our infamous electoral threshold. Most reformists want to lower the threshold as much as possible. How about we remove the threshold? How about that for extreme measures? Now this won't be... We know that Mr... Is it Richter? The NFP leader was very against this. I remember that. Obvious, you see. No, Richter is the piff jib guy. It's the other guy. What's the other guy called? NFP man. Can't remember his name. Nia agrees with it. Richter agrees with it. I also agree with it. I agree with it. Mr. NF... Yeah. Yes, but this is a delicate matter. The party, and I mean not even Albin, wants us to change the threshold. They think that this would destroy our party in the long term. Kibben, that's a guy. It's 10%. So basically, when it's an election, if your party don't get 10... Is it the national vote? 10% of the national vote? Is that right? Then you can't be in the Assembly. Was it national vote? I could read it, but I'm waiting for Marsh and I to tell me, because he clearly is the man with these minor nuances. Shall we have a look? What is it? What would it come under? Policies? Diplomacy, order, welfare, economy, law. There it is. It is national vote. It is national vote. So a party needs a minimum of 10% of the total national vote to win seats, basically. So if you get like 9% of the national vote, that's a fair few votes in a country. 9%? That's not a lot. That's not like 100 people, is it? That's a few people. That could be a million or so people. More even. That have voted for you, and you don't get a seat in the Assembly. I think that's not very good representation, personally. Anyway, not wrong, says Lucian. The 10% threshold is what that allowed us to control half the Assembly with around 1/3 of the majority in the elections. And the reason being is because if you don't get your 10%, those seats get allocated to the other parties, right? So, our party benefits from other parties not getting into the Assembly. But I don't agree with it. We should definitely work to decrease the threshold for better representation. Nia agrees again. Me and Nia are on the same wavelength here. I agree. Even after Saul's resignation, we still have 3 parties in the Assembly. Even Mr. Kibbener's NFP is barely elected. Don't forget that the Communist Party and the Workers' Party of Bluedeer both had close to 10% vote in the last election. You would be opening their way into the Parliament in the future if you were to decrease the threshold. It is important that you realise that I am realising this. Hey, just because we don't agree with their views doesn't mean they shouldn't have a voice, right? They're, well, MPs or whatever, what they class as, assembly members, I suppose. Members of, well, MPs and members of, we've got a parliament going on here. You know, they would hope they would be professional, you know, and bring their kind of, their views to the table. As long as they don't do anything stupid. Why should we silence them? And actually, although it wasn't an option, I kind of hope that we can offer an olive branch to the Bluedish people by the end of the game. So, you know, having them in the assembly is a good start, I suppose. We might lose its we might lose its majority. Nah, Lucian, while I'm in charge, we're not losing any majorities. We're gaining. Because the people will be flocking to vote for us because of me, the man in the purple robes, you know, purple attire. So I don't see it as a problem whilst I'm here. Lucian, I'm a man of the people. They're going to love me. So anyway, I'll be giving dinner and then I'll be back. And then we'll see what's going to happen with this thing. Oh, my mouth is watering. Absolutely watering here. And this is the worst game. This is the worst game when it comes to trying to eat your dinner, because it's reading and talking. So we'll get through this constitution thing, and then when we get a load of news and stuff, I'll start eating and I'll let you read the newspapers yourselves. But right, we're not worried about that. Don't worry, with these reforms we'll be even more popular. If our own democracy is the reason of our downfall, we will have to accept it. I mean, we can't. Yeah, we could be even more popular with these reforms, but we're not. You know, it's not. We're not doing it to be popular. We're doing it to form a better democracy. And if that is our downfall, and the people don't vote for us, then the people have spoken. As far as I'm concerned. So we will have to accept it. And once again, Nia completely agrees. Thank you, Nia. Right, next section. Section 6. This is about the presidential decrees. Reformists demand more limitation to the President's executive powers. Mr. Richter has demanded them to be completely removed. I have suggested to bring some limitations to decrees regarding their applicability. While we keep them, we should try to make sure that they will only be used in emergency situations. We could also make it dependent on an enabling act from the Assembly. Sure, it would make the whole process longer, but as long as we have a majority, nothing really changes. So what are these decrees? Just somebody educate me, please, before I commit to something here that What are we talking about here, precisely, if you don't mind just clarifying for me? You are my formal advisors, by the way, of course. Advisors, what's these decrees about? Should I be concerned with having them limited? Whilst I sample some of this shepherd's pie that I have today. Now it's really bizarre because the shepherd's pie is cooked in a dish that's about that big. It's not massive. It's a deepish dish. When you scoop it out and put it on a plate, I'm probably eating, I'd say, a third of the dish, and it's filled the entire plate. Filled it to the point where I went downstairs. When I first saw it, I was about to say, "Oh, that's a bit much," and I looked in the little dish where it's come from. It's like, oh, is that what's come out of it? It's filled a whole plate. Anything on these decrees? I'll give it another minute so I can eat, and then if nobody's going to advise me, I'll have to make a decision. Oh, limiting it would be the Assembly going, hang on, Mr. President, you can't just ban. So, for example, I need to take me a pill. Hang on. So, for example, when we banned the young swords and the red youth, just like that, was that a decree? So, if we would limit to our decrees, banning the young swords and the red youth would have had to have gone through the Parliament. Which they would have turned around and said, nah, mate, you're not having that, we don't like it. And I'd be like, oh, bugger. Right, okay, that's interesting. Okay. So basically, we're taking away our right to just do things just like that when we feel like it's necessary. Now, for everyday situations, it is nice to have that power, but again, democracy, Assembly having a say, okay, fine. But Nia said, in an emergency, we can use them as a happy medium, which, you know, with loopholes and that, we could say public disorder was an emergency. The whole country's in an uproar. Therefore, this decree is to tackle that. Therefore, buff, bye-bye, red swords and whatever. Loopholes. So I think limiting it, but you know, giving us some form of an option if you know we haven't got time to sit down and debate it in the old assembly, and we just got to make a decision just like that. Boom, right, off it goes. So we can work with it. We work with Nia's suggestion. Limit the use of the decrees, but you know, emergencies only. Hopefully, we still have some say. Friends will probably demand that we remove them completely, but he forgets that Swordland is a presidential republic. Term limits, here we go. Who called for the term limits? Was it the Piff Jib again? It must be. They're the opposition, essentially. If anyone was going to suggest a term limit, it would be the opposition, wouldn't it? Okay, it's really interesting because in the UK, we don't have term limits. Obviously, US president, 2 terms. Any other countries, I'm not very sure about. But in the UK, unlimited terms. So, pros and cons then of both. Because what if you've got a really good president and you think to yourself, second term's coming to an end, oh, but if only we could have him for another term, or her. You know, I'm sure that's happened in countries that have got 2 terms only. You get some presidents and it's 2 terms, you're like, thank flipping God. You can only do so much harm. But there'll be some that like, oh, it'll be sad to see you go. So I suppose the pros and cons just relates to that. But is there some complex term? Oh, so this was non-negotiable. This is where the note-taking comes into effect. So term limits was non-negotiable, and ultimately, I don't even if it went unlimited terms, I don't even think the game would be like, right, you've got limited terms. Go until you're sacked, go until you're assassinated, go until you resign, go unlimited. I think the game's got a finite lifespan. But again, we're looking at the future, we're looking at the constitution, we're looking at the future presidents. Look what happened to Saul. He went on and on and on and on, and although initially did some good work, the longer you drag on, the worse it is for you. You could be doing really good work for 8 years, 2 4-year terms, good work. And then like somebody that just clings on to that thing for too much time becomes public enemy number 1. And your whole legacy is tarnished. So actually, I mean, it's not going to affect me personally in the game, I don't think. We're thinking bigger picture here. But I think term limits are a necessity. I mean, we haven't fleshed out how many terms. I personally think 2 is a bit short. I think 3 would be better. Maybe. I mean, 8 years is a long time to be in charge, I suppose. We can flesh out the term limits later, but I think imposing term limits, they introduced it after he won 4 elections. Yeah, but it stands to reason. How many terms did Thatcher do? Spit on her name, I suppose, for a lot of people. But was she like 4 terms as well? I think Blair won 3 elections. Would have been a 4th, but he stepped down, and Gordon... Oh no, he stepped down whilst it was midterm, I think, when Gordon Brown took over. Right. We're going to go with term limits. And again, me and Nia, like this, can't allow somebody like Saul holding onto his seat for 2 decades again. I agree. Hey, if people keep electing one person, that means they really are content. The masses are scared of change. Okay, it's for me to decide. I will take my time and seriously consider the options before settling on one. Yes, it did, but it took a long time. Exactly. Overstayed his welcome a bit. You know, even we in the pre-view thing, the what's it called, prologue, were like turned against him. Even though he gave us our very first job, you know, and even we were like, oh, getting the hell out of here. Or were we? Were we? I'm getting confused because I've watched my playthrough clearly, or played my playthrough, and I've watched somebody else's playthrough alongside my own that I'm going to watch at the same time, and I can't remember if I or him were like, Saul, we had enough. Anyway, we're reaching the end, the 8th section. Is it lunchtime yet? Where's the lunch? Where's the lunch trolley? It's a question about the immunity of the judges. While the anti-old guard sentiment is increasing, there are talks that taking away their immunity would give us authority over judiciary. I do not support taking away their power for yourself, Mr. President. The judiciary must be independent and long-lasting. While I agree that the current court members are problematic, this is no way to resolve it. The law is supposed to ensure the judiciary's independence by giving legal protection so they can't be pressured. Well, they need absolute immunity in theory, but look at what reality got us. We've got to deal with the most corrupt Chief Justice in the world, with no chance to deal with him. They should be able to be impeached. Why do I get to be impeached, but not them? I think it was a bit too late for number 4. See, I don't understand the full concept of this. I think it was in here somewhere. There you go, it's there. So the justices of the Supreme Court are not held individually responsible for the actions performed in the exercise of their duties. See, when you read it like that, it doesn't seem like a bad thing, does it? Because, you know, you're doing your job. How can you be held accountable if you're doing your job? Regardless of what somebody else thinks of your decision making. It doesn't read like it's a bad thing. But I suppose it depends what they do in the course of their duties. What if corruption is part of their duty? Or something that they do as part of their duty? They're immune. So maybe it should be like an immunity conditional. This is a bit more of a tricky one. Taking away their immunity means you could have them arrested. Which is why he doesn't like it. Because we can influence the court. It could also take away the immunity and sack the old guard, replace with reformists. Ooh, you see, that's a bit manipulative. It's a good idea. But, you know, us sacking the old guard judges to replace them with other judges seems a bit too meddlesome. So this is really interesting because we have made an enemy. We've made an enemy of the Supreme Court because we've ticked off the Supreme Court Chief Justice. And then in the other breath, we'll keep their immunity after we just ticked him off. I mean, this might help to win them back on side a little bit, I suppose, potentially. I doubt it. But yeah, why can't we impeach? Yeah, if they do something like seriously wrong, why can't we bring them to task? Exactly. But it would be tougher to persuade the judges with this. Mrs. Edmonds may not want to cooperate with you if they believe you're going to get rid of them afterwards. Oh, well, we're not committing, I don't think. We're just throwing comments out. And the last one is a question about Saul's legacy. Basically, his Member of Honor law. It gave him absolute immunity even when he's retired. He is a permanent member of the Assembly as well, but luckily he doesn't really attend anymore. According to the Constitution, the Member of Honor not only has legal immunity, but the state also covers most of their expenses, as well as providing security at all times. It can only be given to someone by an absolute majority vote in the Assembly and the approval of the President. So Saul has got immunity, but his immunity was voted for in the Assembly, which of course was heavily USP at the time probably, and approval of the President. Was that the approval of the President that came after him? Hello, Hauler. So I'm kind of like, well, it's already happened, so if we were to take away illegal immunity, Obviously for future presidents, but not for the past ones. I don't know. Oh, he gave it to him. He gave it to himself. This law is basically made to save the Colonel, and it has a symbolic importance for Swordland because of it. We must get rid of this senseless law that protects him. He should be able to face justice for the atrocities that had taken place during his rule. We've got a lot of solists in our party. The member of honour is nothing to do with being president. So it's not restricted to being a president. Anybody could be, you know, a war hero could be a member of honour, I suppose then. Is that what you're saying? So yeah, this is USP Rebel, so basically there's a lot of solists. So if we tick them off by getting rid of this. Okay, note-taking time. Now I see what you're saying about the notes. How hell-bent are the Pifjib on this one? Because this is probably one that I think I would, if I was to vote with my heart, I'd say get rid of it. And with you on Nia, we've been like this on all of these. This might be one of the sections that we vote for tactically, because we're already ticking off our rebels, so we might, you know, it might be a moot point, but this would guarantee that all the solace buff gone, which we could do without. So, did it give an inclination as to how badly the Pifjib wanted this? You said before that the other thing was non-negotiable. What about this one? I can't see this being non-negotiable, really. They would like it to happen. But is it a deal breaker, is the question. Let me just flip around in my notes here. This is the President flicking through his notes. Hang on a second. I'm just flipping through papers here. Because clearly I've written notes here and here. Right, we're going to tactically vote on this one, or tactically make a decision on this one, and I think it may be too late, but I think we need not to tick off the solist wing of our party too badly. So I think... Oh, hang on. We could keep the title but take away the immunity clause. That's interesting. Again, that could be a happy halfway house. So I'm assuming... So they want the electoral threshold to stay. So if we were to keep the electoral threshold, we kind of get some of the NFP on side. I hate thinking about things tactically like this, and I know it's part of politics. I get it, but this is. I mean, obviously it's a game and probably quite simplistic, but it just goes to show some of the machinations that goes on behind the scenes. You know, laws and things that are brought in for the good of the country could have all been part and parcel of a deal brokering thing, or oh God. It opens your eyes. I tell you, as much as it opens your eyes a little bit to politics, especially when you don't really get involved in politics at all. The vote numbers. Oh, no, I'm not that fussed. Right, I think we did it before, didn't we? We had like where was it? It was here. 40, 70. Quite easy numbers to remember, actually. It's nice round numbers for us. I think the game's done that on purpose to help us remember. We're 130, Pifjib 70, NFP 40. We do have 10 independents, by the way, and we need 2/3. Was it 2/3 of the vote? So what's 2/3 of 250? I don't know. Can't do the quick maths. Right. Anyway, yeah. So keeping the title, but take away the. So I'm assuming that keeping the title means you could still be a member of the assembly, honorary. You still get your state-funded mansion. You still get your state-funded security, but you're accountable for your actions. That, to me, actually, is quite a little happy medium. Now, again, it's probably still going to tick off the solace, because immunity would mean that he gets brought to trial. But we'll float it. Again, we're not making a choice here, we're just floating the idea, so we'll float it and see what Nia seems to suggest. That will be enough to hold him accountable for his actions, but why would you want to keep such a title, Mr. President? I don't know. I just thought, you know, there might be some people that deserve the title in the future. You know, what if somebody, I know he probably doesn't, but what if somebody does deserve it? You know, they do some great work, great act, and actually, would we be that bothered if that individual actually gets a mansion and gets a title and gets to be a member of the assembly? I don't think that's a bad thing. Bit of an incentive to do a good deed, isn't it? But you're not going to be immune, so you can't step on people's toes, and you can't, you know, do things illegal, and, you know, to get there. Yeah, look at that. Exactly my thoughts. Forget about the man, and let's think about the title for future people that may actually deserve it. Okay. Right. So we've given everybody our opinions. I think for the most part, I think we're on board with a lot of what they're saying. There's some that are a little bit contentious, some of the sections. Bit of wrangling might be required when we finally have to make the decision. Obviously, it's easier just to say the comment, because we know that we're not making the decision. When we actually have to sign on the dotted line, however, just better have one last think. But yeah, I'm happy to start working on the draft. Okay, we bury ourselves in the papers. Bury away, right. Lots of hard work going on, folks. Wonder if the president had time for lunch. Oh, God! I thought maybe we might just reconvene another time. Actually, no, we're doing it now. Okay, hang on. Oh, no. I've sploshed gravy on my keyboard. Oh, God. As long as it's not a sugary drink. I have lost a couple of keyboards to spilling sugary drinks on it, and the keys that then stick. Right, here we go. Okay, presidential vetoes. Absolute veto power. Good time to take a break. Okay, it's a good point, actually. I'm going to finish me dinner. Just means that you've got nothing to read while I'm eating, that's all. And then we have to make a big decision. Okay, I'm going to take a quick pause. I'm going to eat my dinner. It won't be 10 minutes. I've eaten some of it now. It's going to be literally 5 minutes. I'm going to wolf it down. Not good for you, but hey. And then we're going to get this constitutional changes thing done, and then we're going to keep our fingers crossed and pray that we get it through. So I'm just going to mute myself. I'm going to stay on camera and stuff, so you know you can watch me eat if that's what you like to watch. But I'll be back with you as soon as I finish. It won't be long. Right, there we go. Anybody time that? How many minutes was it? Anyway, because I had my lunch at work at 12, which is actually quite early for me because I usually have my lunch if I'm working from home at about 2:30, 3. And even if I'm in the office, most days, as I said at the start of the stream, I don't have a lunch break usually. I'll kind of just get my lunch out and eat it at my desk when I'm doing my stuff, and that's usually about 1:30, 2ish. It's very rare that I eat my lunch at like 12, 12:30. So eating at 12 is quite early for me, and I've not eaten anything else since 12. I had my breakfast. It's kind of bizarre because I had my breakfast late. I had my breakfast at 8:30 because I got into the office, set out to do a task that I thought would take me about an hour. It ended up taking me an hour and a half. So about 8:30, 8:45, I eventually managed to get me breakfast because I started at 7. So then I had my lunch at 12. So it's now what, 9? Call it 9 by the time I got my dinner. So it's 9 hours with no food. Yeah, I was quite ravenous. And it's very true what they say. I mean, the shepherd's pie was delicious nonetheless, don't get me wrong, but when you're really, really, really famished, food just tastes so much better. You know, you could eat the greasiest fish and chips, McDonald's, whatever, and if you've not eaten for 9 hours, it's going to be the nicest fish and chips you've had in a long time. Can guarantee you. Anyway, right, there's no after break flim flam now because we had a whole flim flam at the start. So we are now ready to partake in constitutional changes. Very important for our future. So I might need some reminding about the impacts of some of this. This is very serious now, okay? And it feels like at the end of the stream, all we'll have done is gone through one turn. But needs must. You ain't watching me because you want to get through a series quickly, are you? To be honest with you. Right, anyway, so constitutional change number 1, section 1, presidential vetoes. Remove them or limit them. I seem to recall we suggested that limiting the vetoes, which means that a majority can override it, was an acceptable medium. Was removing vetoes massively important to any particular person or party? I seem to recall limiting it was an option. Somebody please do remind me if I've missed something. I seem to recall saying that we do need to have some veto power. I think limiting it is fine. I don't know if we can go back is the only other thing as well. If we can't go back after we've made a decision, I have to be very careful. All parties non-negotiable to limit. Piffjib wanted them gone completely. Okay, well, we're not doing that. So we're quite happy to limit the vetoes. Means that if the 3/5 majority disagree with our veto, it overrides it, which is fine. It limits the power, of course, but hopefully if we veto something, it's for a very good reason, and the Assembly will see it through our eyes as well. Oh, but you rely on me having to tab out and look in the Discord. Mind you, I could get it up on my phone, couldn't I? I could get it up on my phone and look on my phone. Might be easier. Right. Oh, we can go back. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's happy days. So we're removing the Supreme Court's voting rights. This is non-negotiable. Removing the Supreme Court's voting rights. That's on constitutional change, of course. That's fine. This is what we argued against with the Chief Justice. That's non-negotiable. Right, so the impeachment. Oh, so this is not as I thought. I thought the Assembly were starting the process, and the court was actually responsible for the impeachment. It seems to suggest here that the Assembly get involved in voting for the impeachment. Now that is not as favourable as it seemed when I first read it. Having the Assembly vote on the impeachment is a bit more problematic for me. Who was it? What was people's stances? Do you know what? I'm going to check the Discord server here. I'll check it. Excuse me. Impeach the president is everybody. Okay, so impeachment. Oh man. Okay, so I did read it. I don't know. I've locked my phone. I should probably read that for more thingy. Okay, so obviously we're not going to go down not impeached. Do not change is probably going to tick off a few people. Now I get why Peter was very much, oh, that's dangerous. It doesn't say it's mandatory. Limited decrees and term limits is a must-have for the Piffjib, which is fine. Limited presidential vetoes we've done. Supreme Court is guaranteed. So I think this is a nice to have. So that's very true. Could work in our favour. So if the Assembly are happy with the way that we're running things, and bearing in mind that we've pushed this democracy through, so we're going to probably get some allies too, for our side, for our reign, it could work in our favour. Yeah, it's very true. Especially if you've got a Supreme Court Chief Justice that hates your guts, like we have. Good point, actually. Well, it's definitely going to be that one. Do not changing was an option. But, you know, actually, looking at it on the balance, and, of course, it's going to lead to more people happy with it, more likely for it to pass the whole constitution, which if we get this passed, this is going to be a major feather in our fedora. In fact, if only we could customise putting a feather on it if we get this through. I might have to speak to our artsy Liv here and say, can you just put a feather in his cap for future thumbnails? Put a feather in it, will you? Right, okay. We'll go with these. We'll go with that one then. We will go with this. As I said, we don't anticipate doing anything that's going to breach any constitution. Especially one that we've probably helped to bring about, hopefully, and certainly not doing anything treasonous. So I think you know, we're probably fine with this. Can't speak for future presidents, but hey, if they're going to get themselves into sticky mud, then it's their own fault. Appointment of ministers. Okay, so this is where we are going to vote with a confidence vote is required. Yeah, we were quite happy with this one. Electoral. Oh, now this is the one. Ooh. Now. The question will be, do we need any of the NFP to help us out here? Because if we're quite confident that we don't, then changing this is perfectly fine. If we reckon that we've got enough votes from our own party and the 70 votes from the PIFJIB, we could be alright by ticking off the NFP. Because they're the party that are completely against. Did you hear your name called, Liv? Because literally less than 2 minutes ago I just mentioned you. And you arrived on cue. It's rather uncanny. But welcome. Good evening to you. You know what? We could play this. If you want to take away Saul's immunity, you're probably going to need him. I did say that Saul's immunity was one that I would tactically vote on. I would rather keep Saul's immunity and lower the threshold, if I'm being honest. No, I was just talking about the fact that if we get this constitution passed, it will be a massive feather in our cap. And considering we wear a hat, I was just joking that, you know, for the next thumbnails, I might want you to put a feather in his hat. Anyway, I think we're going to decrease it. I'm more strongly for decreasing this and keeping Saul immune than the other way around. So, if we're going to make a tactical vote, we'll do it on Saul's immunity. So I reckon, how harshly do we want to tick people off? An 8% threshold is not much of a decrease. How big? Considering what we're going through to get this passed, a flipping big one. Ostrich feather, yeah. So it has to be extreme. I mean, I would like to get rid of it completely, ideally, but I don't know if in real life this is a thing. But you know, 3%. I think that's reasonable. I think that's good. That means that we get wide-ranging representation. It's going to open up for other parties to be in there, but it's democracy, folks. We're going for democracy, a more democratic constitution, and this is as democratic as it can get. Democratic representation. 3%. Presidential decrees. So I am assuming that decrees require an enabling act is a... Decrees are still there, but for me to use them, there has to be an emergency or something. Oh no! Is it this? I'm confused because I thought when we were discussing the decrees, I don't want to remove them. I want them in some capacity, but this decree requires the assembly. That's the limitation. Assembly has to vote to give you that power in an emergency with a time limit. Oh, so they're basically saying, right, we've got an emergency, therefore, President, we all agree, off you go, do your decreeing. Whatever you deem necessary to solve this emergency, off you go. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I mean, you know, at certain times where decrees might be required, you know, a natural disaster happens or, you know, something that's really... requires some swift attention, making the Assembly the sole law-making authority. Yeah, so our act of banning the young swords and the red youth won't be happening again, will it? Not again. We tried it once. We got backlash anyway from most people. So actually, do you know what? It offers us a bit of protection as well. Well, you know what? I was given the power to do it. All for the best. So yeah, I think we'll go with that one. Limit. Oh, it's 2 terms. You can't select your terms, so it'll have to be 2. That's fine. Immunity of justices. Was anybody massively pro or against the immunity of the justices? Hang on a second, let me check my handy guide here. Nothing, yeah, I was just reading it. Nothing that suggests either or are going to be against this in terms of parties. Right. So the Constitution, so this is my choice now then. So the Constitution gives the justices of the Supreme Court absolute immunity before the law and describes no procedure of impeachment, making them untouchable by the other branches of government. We may describe an impeachment procedure by giving the Grand National Assembly the right to propose an impeachment of a justice on the legal grounds of unconstitutional... I think that's reasonable. I know Nia doesn't like it, but, I mean, we have to remember that Nia's in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has to pass this, by the way, and she said that she can bring people on side. Now, if we tick her off, then we could lose in the Supreme Court. And this doesn't really... I mean, you could argue that, you know what, there are some current justices, old guard, that could do with being impeached. With a loophole or two. Oh, this is bad. Because if I had my way, I'd probably say, you know what, justices should be impeachable. They're not above the law. If they do something unconstitutional, they should be held to account for that. Certainly. But again, tactically, Nia is a massive... But we've done so many other things that she likes. And the justices will be voting to have themselves impeached, which is probably not going to go down too well, is it? So, tactically, probably not one that's going to go down very well and not going to help us very much. Although I think, yeah, it should be, I've not got the strongest opinion on it. So I think we'll leave that the same. Right. Do not change. Abolish the member of honour. No, we can't. We can't. This is the one concession that I'm having to make here. If I had my proper way, I'd say keep the title, but just remove the immunity part. But with the reduction to the election threshold, which the NFP are going to completely hate, we probably lost if not all of their votes. So we're going to need to try to keep as many sole people on side, which we might have lost, as I said, we might have lost a lot of them already, but any that might have been 50-50, if we abolish this, are going to be like, oh, forget that, mate, forget that, you've just rattled my cage. So tactically, to get this whole thing to pass, if we have to give up something, although that's going even further to say that every president becomes a member after their service. That's even worse. Just because you're president, it could be the most useless president ever. It's like our president, our prime minister's system. Don't the prime ministers get like some kind of stipend or monetary pay for public appearances? They can basically cash cow on the fact that they were the prime minister, right? So that Truss woman, who was Prime Minister for all of 5 minutes, gets the same benefits as, say, somebody that's been Prime Minister for like 2 successful terms. I mean, the last Prime Minister to have successful terms, define success. That is rather interesting. But no, we'll keep it as it is. Oh yeah, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the whole thing. I'm talking about the whole. Being a president, being prime minister, you get some like little perks. Right. Okay. So who votes for who becomes a member of honour? Because it's like. I'm going to be streaming to about 10ish, 10:15. Who actually votes for who becomes a member of honour? Do we know that? It doesn't actually suggest it. It doesn't say it here. I'm just intrigued, because this is saying every president becomes a member. So it's like, at the moment, every president is not going to be automatically a member then, because obviously Alfonso's been president since Solon. He's not a member. So who determines who becomes a member of honour? Is it an assembly? Or does it say it? Law. There we go. No, it doesn't say how they are elected. It just says what the membership is. Defines the Member of Honour title, its appointment procedure. Which would have made sense at the time because the USP were probably far more majority in his times for him to pass that, right? So it wouldn't make sense. But what is the procedure, Gabe? You're not telling us the procedure. Right, we'll assume it's a majority of the a unanimous majority of the assembly. So that's just out of interest, really. So yeah, every president by right becomes a member of honour. No, I think you've got to earn it. Got to earn it. You've got to earn the privileges. That whole immunity side. Single party dictatorship, right? Okay. So ultimately, what we're probably saying is it's unlikely that there's going to be another one. So changing this is only basically aimed at Sol, in essence. So no, we're not going to change it. Okay, so we've made our decisions. I think we're happy with them. I'm not convinced it's going to go through, to be honest with you, but I mean, I'm happy with our choices. And if we don't get it through, it's not through lack of trying. And if we don't get it through, it's because I would have had to have conceded too much that I was uncomfortable conceding. We've conceded where I think we need to concede. We've given up quite a few of our powers, you know, so we are trying here. But some things we have to keep tactically or because of our principles. So let's see how it works out. Oh, it even gives you confirmation. Are you sure? This is a big decision. Yes, Mr. President is quite sure. So we've got our glasses on the end of our nose, you know, we're scratching our head, we're signing things, ticking boxes. Sugar-loo, dabby-dabby-doo. Right, there you go, team. I finished. I've had shepherd's pie while I was doing it. I can spin plates while I make these important decisions. They read it. They have a bit of conflab, and I think they're going to be happy with it. I think we've gone along with, you know, what a lot of people seem to be like kind of happy with. I think we're fine. Oh, I respect Lucian's opinion because he is our chief strategist after all. Right, Lucian. Well, looks like the amendments are ready to be proposed. Any comments on the amendments, Lucian? But I have to say this too. Oh, Peter. Oh, Peter, go on, Peter. The new electoral threshold will be really difficult for the party to accept. Our guys are not fond of that idea. Oh, the electoral threshold. So we've ticked off the... Maybe we should have just kept that. No! That was one of my principles. That was one of the things that I did out of principle. I've conceded some things, I've done some things for principle, and I've done some things for tactics. Okay? Maybe that's going to be our downfall. Maybe we should have just done everything for one thing. You know, fall on your sword if everything's for your principle, or completely, utterly everything to be a tactic. Rather than mix and match, which probably has ticked off too many people and not gained enough support. But anyway, we'll see. Oh, Peter. And actually, it's quite worrying that Peter's saying this, because Peter is the guy, as much as he's not competent as a vice president, if you ask me, he's the guy that's actually really good at getting people on side. So do you know what, Peter? You're just going to have to work extra hard, aren't you? At smoothing things over with the party. That's what we're paying you the big bucks for, isn't it, Mr. Vice President? So get to flipping work. Yes, that is true. Oh, now Lucian's saying it. Oh, now I trust Lucian's opinion a bit more with these things. Some of our members may try to openly fight against this. I will make sure the party follows. That sounds quite harsh, doesn't it? I will make sure. I shall send death threats to all their families. You will vote for me or else goodbye, children. Good grief. No, we'll figure it out. It's fine. Listen. We'll figure it out. saying it in a manner that's probably not quite so convincing. It's been a long day, we're probably tired, glasses half askew. We'll figure something out, just get me a cup of tea. Okay, we will do our best to make it work, sir. Any other comments before we proceed? Comments? No more comments. I've seen enough of this blasted constitution. Peter's fine. Nia's clearly fine. I think we've done everything pretty much that she liked, apart from the soul thing. Right, we can proceed. Good. I shall work on the wording with my hand-picked legal expert. Make sure, Nia, that everything is bottomed out. There's no loopholes to be seen anywhere. Close them all off, because that horse fella needs to be watched closely. Don't worry, with Miss Morgler's reputation as the most experienced attorney, this proposal will be bulletproof. Chief Justice also will have a hard time convincing others to oppose it. In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party. You will need to get them to back us if we want it to pass the Assembly. Hello, Ollie. Good evening to you. How's the recession? Well, we've spent most of today's session with Flim Flam for half an hour, and then probably, an hour and a half of literally drafting this new constitution. We've not even ended the first turn yet. Oh, and I've eaten a shepherd's pie as well. Apart from that, it's going marvellously. Sir, I advise you to talk with the leaders of both Conservative and Reformist wings of the party. Rishi Sunak Simulator. So now we're meeting the leaders of the wings. Oh, this is interesting. So this clearly will have an impact on the decision as well. Oh, hellfire. So, obviously, I thought that the general election year was next year. Because every 5 years in the UK for an election, not 4. And I just had 2025 in my head. And then I read, actually, it's this year. I was like, oh, is it? Oh, thank God. Then I remembered it. Yes, it was 2019, the last election, because I was on a cruise when it happened. I was on a cruise when it happened. It was obviously before the old big hoo-ha happened, which was 2020, which makes obviously sense it was 2019. But I just completely had in my head it was 2025. So I don't like politics, which begs the question: why am I playing this game? I do find it interesting, but in real life, I'm just not interested. I'm just not interested. But when it comes to elections, I quite am interested, because I quite like the whole election thing. And I like seeing them all on campaign and listening to the crock of crap that they come out with them out the mouths and standing up and giving speeches and all that. I just think it's hilarious. But I really do enjoy election night with all the graphs and grid and maps and votes are coming in. Oh, it's all very exciting, isn't it? That's the only part I like of the whole process. So yeah, but I was reading, because the reason why we brought this up was I was reading that the Conservatives, God bless them all, are trying to scratch their heads as to determine when is the best time to have an election, because apparently they can determine, I don't know if it's subject to being voted on or whatever, but when they have the election, because usually elections are kind of November-ish, October-ish time, it's winter time, back end of the year. Whereas I think they were toying with the idea of a May election, because they're getting that battered at the moment that they thought it might be better to have it early before they lose any more seats. So it'll be quite interesting to see how it all plays out, basically. Yeah, we'll see. So we are going to talk with the leaders of the wings. Right. Now we need to get our political wrangling mind on now. So as far as I'm aware, Mr. Clavin supports the reforms already. Easy. Reformists, we don't need to talk to them. Reformists, we're reforming. Cup of tea? Bit of Earl Roy whiskey? Get on you there, Mr. Clavin. Ching ching, Mr. Ching ching, sir. Mrs. Tory, however, we were already warned, is the real problem. And I love, and I don't know if this was particularly named person as a Conservative, but she's called Mrs. Tory. That's got to be a purposeful little thing, that, hasn't it? She became the real heavyweight after we left for the executive. Okay, don't worry. We'll deal with her. I hear... dare I say it? I hear poison's a good remedy for problem people. Right. Advice. I will handle them. No, we are not a man that shuns advice. Any advice? Peter is a people person. This is one thing that he should be good at. One of the few things. It isn't CK2. Damn it. Parapets. Caught in a crossfire of arrows. Exploding inns. Oh, damn. These tools are not available to me here. Right, come on, advice. So Clavin is easier. So we need to get his support. So actually, we might need to work for our money with Clavin still. So we can't be slapdash here. We're taking the best whiskey. Mrs. Gloria will be tougher to break. The problem is that she's capable of turning the moderates and the Conservatives. So not just the Conservatives, she's got the moderates as well. Those that are kind of, well, you know. So we've got to do something about her. As much as I don't want to say this, if she makes demands to change the proposal, you may need to give in. Depends what she's asking for us to change. But we'll consider it. Thanks for the advice. Wish you good luck with the party, sir. Oh, no. Now we're going to have to face the party. I hope we get to do this stream. Time is ticking, so we've got to crack on here. So I do want to do this stream. This game, I love this game. We all shake hands when they leave the room. I am convinced that I don't know what the average playtime for this game is. About 13 hours or something. Again, it's like Alan Wake, what is this? Oh, it's a proposal. Oh, ooh, it's not very fancy. I thought this was like a little thicky briefing. So there you go. This just gives us our current process, our current constitution that we have got at the moment. Right. We're going to have to get cracking because I want to get to the talking with the party this stream. So let's fly through the news. Swordland today. Rain leading promised reforms. Our sources informed us that the plan is underway to start drafting the reform package. Finally, we seem to have a president who pursues something significant in the early days of his term. I mean, the early days of your term is the best time to do something significant, isn't it? Because clearly you're not going to do something significant at the back end of your term when voting comes around. Why would you do that? Halsord Post... Oh, they're the balance paper as well. President Rain is already proving that he is the right man for the job, as rumours circulate about successful talks about a future proposal in collaboration with important figures from the PIF chip. We hope that once the constitutional changes are approved, it will be the start of a new era for our country. Oh, I finally remembered it! It's just come to me all of a sudden. It's like when you got somebody's name on the tip of your tongue, and you like, I think I mentioned it before, where I saw somebody 2 weeks ago in a restaurant when I went for breakfast, and I knew her. I knew this woman. I've seen her face. I heard her voice. I know you, love. But where do I know you from? And then 5 hours later, oh, I've got you. You were a sergeant in the police. an hour and a half later, 2 hours later, those of you who were here earlier will know that I was going to say something and I forgot. And I said, I'll remember it later. Anyway, I can't remember how I can't remember the context of what I was going to say, so it will make probably little sense now. But basically, I'm trying to remember the context of why I was going to say it, because it would provide more context. But anyway, all I'm going to say is I'm watching currently. Oh, that was it, about taking notes. It's all coming back now. Taking notes. I was talking about taking notes at the time for the constitutional reforms, and I was going to say, you know what? I should probably start taking notes a bit more, because I've watched Zemalf for a long time, and I dip in and out of his series. He streams on Twitch nowadays, but does put stuff on YouTube from his streams, and I've watched him since very early days, probably 2011, since I watched Zemalf. And I just got a ping up. I just got a ping up earlier last week that like your YouTube notifications, that Zemalf was uploaded a new video, and I was like, oh, what was he uploaded? And it was Forgotten City, which of course is one of my favourite games. Love it to bits, that game. It's like this kind of game you couldn't really replay, I don't think, but it's it's one of those first experience. Music, the concept, the characters, everything was just fantastic. I love that series, love the game. Anyway, he's playing that, or he's played it. I think he's finished it now. But as he's playing it on camera, nice, and because I like Zemalf because he's very much like me in a lot of respects, in that he likes to role play and he's very chilled out. And I think he's Finnish, right? All of you seen Zemalf? I think he's Finnish. He sat there playing the game, enjoying the game, and I'm watching it, and I'm enjoying it as well. I sent him a message to say, hope you enjoyed the game. It's a really good game, and I'm going to be watching this with anticipation. And he's taking notes. It goes off screen. It goes off screen. Sorry, excuse me. He says, goes off screen. Comes back. Right. I said, I've got my notepad and paper out because I'm going to take notes. And he's playing away, and it'll see something, or somebody will say something, and he stops. He takes notes. And do you know what? I thought, or you would think, it might detract a little bit from the pacing or whatever, like me, for example, just wittering on about random nonsense in the middle of stuff. But it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. And I'm like, yeah, you take your notes, mate. You take your notes. So I think actually it's not a bad idea. Especially not in every game, of course, but in certain games, taking notes is probably very useful. So that's what I was going to say earlier. All right. But yeah, I highly recommend watching the series if you've got a spare moment. And you enjoyed my playthrough of the game. You enjoyed the game. It's nice to get other people's perspectives on stuff. And it's one of my favourite LPs. Is old Zemalf. Especially a game that gives you a note. Exactly, a game that gives you a notebook. Yeah, that's probably a sign, isn't it? Right, okay, so we've got that. The Economist, unleashing energy. So repealing the Energy Protection Act could unlock a new era of robust growth. And the government should contemplate a co-investment venture with Rizia in Gasom. We've already done that. We've already done that. Ooh, the annual Benfi Festival. Ooh, newly built Benfi High Arts Centre. That's interesting because Benfi is here and Benfi is in Grooney where we've just passed the Green Act. So, perfect time to have a celebration, isn't it? Is there a shortcut key for the papers screen? There must be. Is it like N or something? Is there any shortcut keys in this game? Right, anyway. Not that I use shortcut keys very often, of course. You see me. I point, I click, I go in things the long way. I don't do shortcut keys. Oh my god. Right, okay. You know. As you get older, you get stuck in your ways. All these fandangle new things. Like shortcut keys. What the hell are them? Right, Leshaven. Dinner with the business council members? I don't want that. Is that important right now? I want to speak with my leaders. Oh, meeting on the Energy Protection Act. Oh, hang on. Hang on. We should go for dinner after we've done our work, right? Okay, so the Reform Committee is starting the preparations. Oh, apparently we need 150 signatures. That's not too bad, you know. I don't think 150 is... Well, actually, it's still quite a lot, isn't it? If we lose half of our party because these talks go bad, that probably gives us 70 votes. The PIFCHIB only have 70. The NFP we've completely ticked off. So we're not getting any from them. These party talks are very important. Oh, God. Very important. Could we convince Gloria? I think it suggests that the only way to convince Gloria is to concede on certain points. And if we're not gonna, then I think it's game over. Right, here we go. So we'll by the looks of the time, we'll get through this and we'll get through the next one, which is dinner. And then we'll take the next turn and end it there. And in the next turn, I bet it's right time to meet your members. And I'm like, oh, it's a perfect start for the next stream, though. Right, as the morning sun streamed through the window of the presidential office, an imminent meeting loomed on my agenda. In a quarter of an hour, I was set to discuss the Energy Protection Act with Ministers Graff, Hall and Wishy. The recent abrogation in the Grand National Assembly, coupled with ongoing dialogues with Gasson, had only served to amplify the discourse surrounding the legislation. Sipping on my... Oh, apparently we're a coffee person, not a tea person. Morning coffee, and enjoying a quiet moment of solitude when David arrived characteristically early. I prefer characteristically on the dot, like Mr. Gallard. That means that I know precisely when people are arriving. Because you can set your watch by it. Click clock, it's 9 o'clock, knock 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 on the door. Like clockwork, perfect. Coming in early, mid-coffee, not good. For me, personally. Not good at all. It's like at work. Sorry, more chitty-chatty. It's like at work when you log on to your computer at 7, 10 past 7, even 7:30 if I'm having a lie-in. You know, God forbid if it's later than that. But you log on, your computer boots up, clearly on Teams, you go on green because you're logged on. If you're working from home particularly, you've probably just opened your eyes, you've not even had your morning drink because you just roll out of bed and just log on. Don't get dressed, don't forget. A bit tired still, computer's booted up. The last thing I need... 1 minute after logging on is a phone call. Have you waited for me to log on to make that call, or is it just coincidence? Because I'm telling you, not good. Okay, so this is Mr. Wishy. Very good morning to you, Mr. President. I trust I'm not imposing by arriving ahead of... Oh, of course not, David. I've just ranted for the past 5 minutes at my viewers about it, but no, I'm not put out at all. Not exactly, not at all, David. I love it when the game complies. I say something and the game says exactly the same thing. Perfect answer. We've now got a few extra minutes to strategise before them. It's turn it into a positive. Real life me might have just grunted and gestured towards the seat. Option 3. Sit there, shut up. Give me 5 minutes to drink my coffee, will you? Why are you always bloody early, anyway? Right. Relieved to hear that, Anton. I depart earlier for my appointments nowadays, as the stairs of the capital have become more of a challenge than I would like to admit. Dear me. Dearie me. Nothing to be ashamed of, David. The winds of time catch up with us all. Tea? Coffee? Oh, he has tea. He has tea available. I've already had my tea today, as per my doctor's advice. She suggests chamomile in the morning and sage tea in the evening for optimal health. A lot of tangents today. Sorry. Have any of you tried, and this is an Amsterdam thing, mint tea? Because I've been to Amsterdam 4 times, and I only tried mint tea for the first time the 3rd time I went. And it's absolutely delightful. Fresh mint, all it is fresh mint in water. Let it stew. Bit of sugar or stevia or whatever your sweetener of choice is. And that's it. Then just take it out and drink it. Mint tea. It is absolutely delicious. That's what Peter does. But yeah, honestly, mint tea, if you can ever get peanut tea. I have not heard of peanut tea. I'm going to have to Google that now after I've finished. I do like a hot drink, and I'm open to trying a lot of things. But yeah, mint tea really nice. Peanut tea, never heard of it, but I'm going to have to research it now. Definitely. Okay, he's refreshed his throat. Thank you very much. Right. His gaze drifts to something beyond the window. A colossal zeppelin traversed the sky above the Maroon district. For a fleeting moment, it blotted out the sun before gently veering to the left, letting light flood the office once more. I would never, I don't like heights anyway, but I would never be travelling in any zeppelin, ever. Hot air balloon, no chance. Forget about it. Helicopters, no way. Planes are fine. That's the only air transport I will ever set foot in. I still remember the first airships in Swordland. We purchased them from Kino after the war, during the birth of what Saul called the Second Republic. Our infrastructure lay in ruins, and those zeppelins offered a much-needed lifeline, a chance to traverse and rebuild. And then, thanks to our Research Council's diligent efforts, we started manufacturing our own in Gelsord. Truly a turning point, David. Truly a turning point. Yes, you're quite right. Not even a helicopter? No. No. We got the opportunity in the police to go up in the police helicopter, just to see what it was like and to see how, to see what happens, and you get a better perspective, kind of shadowing, I suppose, because you get a better perspective of what information they find useful on the ground, and how they work and all that. So that when you call for a helicopter or a helicopter's in the area doing a search, you can kind of you know what goes on because you've been in it. Did I put my name forward to go up in the helicopter? Did I? I was like, no siree. Amount of helicopter crashes. No. Beacon of hope, anyway. Right, okay. Our reliance on others was temporary, a stepping stone towards the self-sufficiency we achieved with the National Autarky Plan. I'm never going to read that. Helis are fairly safe. Yeah, to be fair, it's like planes. Planes are very safe until they crash, and then it's very catastrophic. And the helicopter's the same, because it's in the air, so if it crashes, game over, isn't it? So it's still probably safer than travelling in a car, or on a cycle, getting knocked off your bike. But still, for me, it's the heights thing. And with a plane, because the plane is so massive, for me personally, I could look out of a plane and it could be, mile off the ground. You can see all the people like dots, or the cars like little specks, and I'm fine. I know I'm high up, but I feel safe in this great big thing. Balloons, zeppelins, helicopters, not as big. Much more claustrophobic feeling, and therefore I'd feel, I assume, because I've not been in one, but I just sense that I would feel a lot more of my fear of heights in those kind of scenarios. So that's probably, I think, the issue. Oh, okay, so David looks at Tarquin Sol hanging on the presidential office wall. Why have I still got his picture on the wall? His eyes lingered on the stern face of the old leader. A sigh escaped his lips. Now. When I think of the EPA, my mind is carried back to the formative years of post-Civil War Holsword in the 1930s. The debates, the passion, the potential for transformation. It was a time of renewed optimism. It is our duty now to learn from the past and strive for a better future. What applied back then won't apply to now. Oh, so this Energy Protection Act is, it's just come back to me, this is the act where we're going into cahoots with Rivia, isn't it? This is why the newspaper didn't seem to suggest, or suggested, that we need to do it, because we haven't done it yet. We said we're going to do it, but we haven't actually committed. I think that's what's happening here. Yeah, I can see why it was crucial at the time. You know, but times have changed. Yes, the EPA helped ensure that the sector remained under our control, limiting the extent of ownership of foreign powers such as Rumberg or Lesbia. Despite the controversies, it was crucial to our to our recovery and has helped us maintain our energy independence to this day. I do not agree with all of the measures enacted by the technocratic government of that era, but some were undeniably effective. In the end, it took a collective effort to reassemble our nation's fragmented pieces. I'm sure you remember those dark days yourself. I knew you were just a student at the Shaven Business School, far from Holsword, but the armed rebels did reach your area. Yes, it was definitely a surreal time. Stability and order is important to our nation. Yet sometimes disorder is necessary for change. Yeah. A heated mix of water and peanut butter. Now, if you know me well enough, you know that I absolutely love peanut butter. I put it in my porridge in the morning. I'll have it on toast. I love peanut butter ice cream. And my favourite milkshake, as mentioned earlier, a couple of weeks ago or so, Five Guys peanut butter milkshake. The greatest milkshake I've ever tasted in my life. So actually, putting peanut butter into warm water to make a tea out of it sounds quite ew to me, and that's a peanut butter fan. But I'm going to try it this evening. I'm actually going to try it tonight. It'll be quite calorific because peanut butter is not light in calories, but I've got about 400 calories to spare. So I'm going to put peanut butter in it. I'm going to put some milk in it. Not milk, sorry, water. And then I'm going to put a teaspoon of sugar and see how it goes. I'll let you know in the Discord server. I'm going to try some peanut butter tea. Right, here we go. David turns towards a large frame portrait of his father, Mr. Wishy, Arthur Wishy. Nagisa, you took the flipping words out of my mouth. Honest to God, before I mentioned that I was going to put sugar in it, we always have condensed milk downstairs because my mum loves condensed milk in her tea. Diabetic, by the way. So we always have a can of it downstairs, and I think there's a can of it downstairs. And I did think, actually, when I was talking about the milkshake as well, would condensed milk work in it? Because I mentioned milk, didn't I? I was going to put milk in. And that's the thought process. Because I think it would go very well with condensed milk. Very calorific. Like this tea is getting less and less like a tea and more like a flipping dessert as we speak. But I'm quite tempted. Or maybe I should save it for like a Friday night on my cheat day. I'll have to debate this. But now that you mention it, I can't resist. Okay, so he's got a spark of determination after looking at his father's portrait. Yes. It's a shame he died under such tragic circumstances. Losing my father in Holsword prison fire was a turning point in my life. I was shocked when he was arrested, and his sudden death left a deep void. But it also ignited a fire in me, a resolve to carry on his legacy and fight for the principles he stood for. The circumstances of his death are a stark reminder of the lengths to which those in power can go to silence dissent. has made me wary, but also more committed to ensuring that such a tragedy does not repeat itself in our country. He looks back at the portrait with a mix of pride and sadness. In a way, Tarkin Sol did carry on my father's legacy. Under his leadership, we transitioned from a military government into a civilian one, and experienced our first multi-party elections. But over time, he drifted away from the ideals of reform and progress that my father held so dear. His visionary zeal succumbed to the more pragmatic, more conservative, and sometimes even regressive dictates of political survival. Oh, we'll keep listening. Alfonso, for all his flaws, did seek to set the nation back on a path of progress with his focus on a free market and economic liberalisation. His EPA amendments, for example, were a severe departure from Sol's national autarky plan. Okay, so it's basically Solonomics. But many praised the way that it opened the doors for unprecedented foreign investment in our energy economy. I'm going to ask for his opinion whilst he's here on his own. Ask for his opinion. We're here. I'm drinking coffee. He's drinking nothing. The EPA has its roots in a different era. While some of its principles may still hold, we must not shy away from revising it in light of our current needs and challenges. Just as the conversation hit a pause, the door swung open and Simon Hall arrives. With a confident stride. I like Simon. Is Simon the one that I like? The one that's written the books? Yeah, he's the one that's written the books. I like Simon. I think Simon's got good advice. Good morning, Mr. President. David, I trust the discussion is progressing well. And then Lilius comes in, who's... we know who Lilius is, doesn't we? Lilius, the former mayor of somewhere up here, Arvery, I believe. Walks in with an air of calm authority, her gaze sweeping across the room. Gentlemen, I hope I'm not interrupting anything crucial. Welcome everyone. It's great to see you all here. We have some important discussions on the agenda today, particularly concerning the Energy Protection Act. Right, thank you, David. I appreciate the urgency. Let's get right to the heart of the matter. I've got dinner to go to, by the way. In Le Shaver, no less. Okay, so today we have the opportunity to shape the economic strategy of Swordland for decades to come. The EPA has long stood as a key contention and debate point of the National Autarky Plan. This matter is a discussion of how Swordland sees itself and how we position ourselves in the world. Our nation has taken very different economic approaches in the last 4 decades. The President's decision to foster a planned economy provides us with significant insight into our policy direction. Should we decide to increase the EPA threshold to 49% or eliminate it entirely, it could spark an influx of foreign investment. Given our current economic predicament, this would be a significant boost. The Assembly tried to scrap the EPA, but USP defeated the attempt. Okay, interesting. A planned economy does not necessarily mean restricting foreign investment. It's about judicious management and control, ensuring that our nation's interests are always at the forefront. Yes, I've always admired your devotion to Swordland, Lilius. We're thinking long term here. Sweet talker, get a vote for the Constitution. But no, we are going planned economy, and if we were going to go with doing anything with the Act, I wouldn't give complete free rein and abolish it completely. I was looking at increasing it to 49%. We're still the majority stakeholder, but increase the amount of foreign investment. Planning to increase it in stages. We've got control over how we move towards the free market, which I would assume as time progresses we would do in full at some point. I appreciate your kind words, Mr. President. It's our shared dedication to Swordland that drives us. Mr. President, Lilius, shall we return to the subject of the EPA? Excuse me, Simon, I'm the chair of this meeting. We'll discuss what the flippin' hell I want to discuss. If I want to discuss peanut butter tea, for example, I flippin' shall. How dare he? Our current version of the Energy Protection Act, I'm probably giving Lilius a slight snigger. I've just been told off by one of my advisors here. Our current version of the Energy Protection Act dates back to 1949. President Alfonso's amendment raised the cap on foreign investment to 20%. In my view, it was a necessary step to attract foreign investment and stimulate our economy. We must remember that Swordland was facing an economic crisis during his tenure, and these changes provided a lifeline for our energy industries. Rain, please focus. I'm trying to focus. Okay, but did it actually lead to a substantial economic growth? It didn't, but that was because of internal strife. The USP kiboshed this. They didn't want it to work, basically. So it was doomed to fail from the start, regardless of whether it was going to work or not, with any support. That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so it didn't lead to drastic upturn, but did have a positive effect. Policy changes such as this take time to manifest, but it's all about the future. And we are paving the way for the future. We're thinking beyond our terms here, which could be two by the time we've written our own constitution. Written ourselves into two terms here. But, we're looking at the bigger future for Swordland. We're looking for other presidents coming forward, the country going forward. We're not even concerned to a lot of the degree about our own legacy, about how we're viewed, as long as what we strive to achieve is, a better Swordland in the long run. I mean, of course, based on our view. What we think is right for Swordland. Okay. The Assembly has spoken on this matter as it stands. The Energy Protection Act will not be repealed. It's clear that our colleagues have recognised the potential risks of exposing our energy sector to foreign ownership. While this doesn't end the debate, it does underline the importance of respecting our Assembly's decision. Ooh, so if we were going to enforce this, would it be one of those decree things that we'd have to sign? Okay, so if this decision has in fact been made by the Assembly, doesn't mean we have to stop advocating for what we believe is right. I like that option. Yeah, we can still advocate for it. We can still convince people. We can still maybe discuss it another time. I respect the decision of the Assembly, Lilius. However, we mustn't allow this setback to deter us from exploring the best possible options for Swordland. The global landscape is ever evolving, and we must adapt accordingly. It's also important to remember that the Assembly's decision is not the final word. There is room for further legislative efforts and executive initiatives. When it comes to the Energy Protection Act, I believe we should consider complete removal. If not, at the very least, we should increase the threshold to 49%. This would undoubtedly attract more foreign investment and strengthen energy institutions such as Gason and Swordish Petroleum. Isn't he on the board of Gason, or was it the other guy? I think it was the other guy, Gus. Was it Gus Manger? It was Gus. I think it was Gus. I'm sure you're right about that, but we have to remember that we're dealing with national security as well as economics. Reverting to the Sol era 10% limit or keeping the law as it is would be a safer approach. We cannot risk our energy infrastructure falling into foreign hands, especially not to Rumberg. Yes, I see merit in both your arguments. Yes, we need to protect our national security, but we also need to consider the economic implications. Perhaps a mixed approach would work best. What if we increased the limit to 49%, thereby attracting foreign investment whilst maintaining Shoreditch control over critical energy sectors? That's a good idea. It's what I would have plumped for myself. Let's have a look. First of all, a lot of questions here. I don't know if we can ask all of them or not, but yeah. How would it affect energy prices to start with? This is what people are more concerned about. How's it going to hit them in the pockets? It's always a thing that people worry about, isn't it? Energy prices. With increased foreign investment, we could potentially see a decrease in energy prices. But we should also consider the potential impact on job security and national control of our energy sector. Changing the Energy Protection Act could lead to increased energy prices, as foreign entities could manipulate the market. I'll believe the expert Simon on this, as the guy that's written books on economics, by the way. With increased competition and foreign investment, we could also see a decrease in energy prices. The more players in the market, the more competitive the prices will be. Okay, cool. Of course it's all about the prices. Okay, so what's the risk if some of these more shady countries gain control over our energy sectors? Think about it, Mr. President. If any one of those countries, but especially Rumberg, gains control of our energy sector, they could cut off our power at any moment. We would also be forced to comply with any decision they made regarding prices or environmental measures. There's no denying the potential risks of foreign buyers gaining control over critical sectors. If we increase the foreign ownership threshold to 49%, we can attract more investments whilst mitigating those risks. Okay, so yeah, as well as there could be potential threats, there could be potential partners. I've made my decision, so I'm not interested in any more of these. Let's settle this subject, shall we? Given the turbulent economic landscape, maintaining the status quo of the Energy Protection Act could offer us stability. We're already open to foreign investment at a 20% threshold. Changing this percentage may introduce unexpected challenges and could complicate our foreign relations. I firmly believe in the sovereignty and strength of our nation. Returning to the threshold of 10%, as it was during the Sol era, could protect us from undue foreign influence and ensure that our energy sector remains in Shoreditch hands. Increasing foreign investment could significantly stimulate our economy. A careful increase to 49% could be a balanced compromise, signalling to the world that Swordland is open for business while still retaining majority control of our assets. We must consider the far-reaching implications of our actions. Today's decision regarding the EPA will significantly impact Gasom and other corporations in the future. Regarding Gasom, our co-investment with Resia allows us to distribute the financial burden and mitigate risks. This decision promotes regional cooperation, aligning well with our fiscal policies. Yeah. A joint venture. Yeah? Strategic move. Partnership that secures our place in the global energy landscape. We're hoping. Simon meticulously adjusted his glasses. With Swordland and Resia, co-investing in Gazprom, there's a chance to build a partnership that benefits both our economies. However, how we adjust the EPA could significantly impact the outcome. Sharing the burden with Russia does provide some reassurance. However, if we raise the foreign ownership threshold, we must be wary of the influence of Rumberg. Raising the threshold. So this is raising it to 50%. Removing the threshold altogether, no, not so much. So we're happy to raise the threshold. Okay, that's good. Yeah, we like this. Middle of the road. I like this one. So this is quite balancing the need for economic growth with maintaining national sovereignty. Perhaps a phased approach to increasing foreign ownership could be. So that's my aim, is to phase it up. But would we ever go above 49%? That's a good question. I'm not sure. Yeah, quite neutral here. But it could. Has been a safeguard for our national interests, but times change, and we need to be open to change, and we need to carefully weigh the benefits and drawbacks before making a decision. Okay. The implications have been covered fairly thoroughly, Mr. President. Fairly thoroughly. We're making a decision. Oh, it's a decision time. Here we go. You can go down to 10%. Go back to the Sol days. We can keep it at 20, increase it to 49, or remove it. We're going to increase it to 49. I think it still marries up with planned approach, planned economy, because we're still keeping, a large stake, kind of phasing things up. To me, that's planned. That's planned economy. We're planning a phase increase. 49%. A balanced approach will serve us well. This could attract significant foreign investment. Oh, it's a substantial increase. I fear we are opening ourselves up to too much. Don't worry, Lilius. Keep your hair on, love. You're outvoted 3-1. Right, the door to the room is open. Livia carrying a tray with assortments of beverages. She was a little clumsy as she manoeuvred around the room, refilling cups and glasses with tea, coffee, and water. Excuse me, gentlemen and madame, I've bought refreshments. Ah. Aha! Please be more considerate and knock. It's fine. Do you know what, Olivia? It's time for peanut butter tea, I hear. Oh, perfect timing. Very well, Mr. President. Here's your tea. And I'm sure she's a spy, She crashes in without knocking. She asks us what we've picked or said to foreign dignitaries or to, the leaders of the big fat cat people. What was he called? Mr. Mustache Man. Can't remember his name. Big wig fella. She comes in. Oh, what did you say? And now, looking around the room. And earlier the other day, she's asking me about something. About the Constitution. Telling you, I bet she's a spy. Oh, the meeting resumed. I thought the meeting was finished. This is just the interlude. While we are here, I will inform you that I have been lending my experience to Minister Bennywall in relation to the Workers' Rights Bill. I believe it's crucial to ensure fair treatment for our workforce, and it's nearing presentation. Yes, your collaboration with Miss Bennywall is commendable, Mr. Wishy. I hope it will bring about a positive change for our workforce. Thank you, Mr. President. The bill aims to prioritise workers' well-being. It is a step towards a more humane economic system. I share your sentiments, Mr. President. However, we must be careful to avoid encouraging anti-business tendencies. I concur, Mr. President. Ensuring the rights of our workers is paramount, although we must be cautious of any hidden agendas. Anyway, I've been working on our upcoming term budget meeting. Ooh. And a proposal for business taxation changes. Specifically, we're considering a range of 10% tax changes for small to medium enterprises and large corporations. This could be a significant move for our economic landscape. He's the guy with the books, right? I mean, I did economics myself as well in university, don't forget. It could invigorate. Just got to be careful that it doesn't burden them unduly, though. Just, you know, not that we care about the businesses too much. We should do, really, shouldn't we? No businesses, no money. I appreciate your insight, Mr. President. Ensuring the survival and growth of our SMEs is at the forefront of our considerations. I know, Simon, I know. Just making sure you're aware. Tax changes could indeed have a significant impact on our economy. We must consider their implications carefully. Large private corporations have enjoyed significant benefits and loopholes for far too long. They should pay their fair share. Okay, it gets to late morning, the light spills into the room through the ornate windows. And the meeting has concluded. Well, this seems to be the strapline that we are going down for a lot of our big speeches. That is unity. Unity is our strength. Together we can accomplish much. Divided we accomplish nothing. Let's continue to work together. Team for the good of Swordland. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the discussion. I'll continue working on our priorities. Goodbye, everyone. See you at the term budget meeting. Oh, this term budget. Is it so bad to be excited about a term budget meeting? Am I one of those sad people that looks forward to certain meetings at work? It's a meeting's coming up. Oh, I'm not usually excited about work meetings, but I'm excited about a term budget meeting because we've got no flipping budget. I want to know how much money we're going to get. Tax them all dry. And of course, I'm very excited about meeting our party leaders. You know, our wing leaders. That's a massive conversation. Ping, 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 pong, ping, pingy, pingy, ping, 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 ping. Right, we're going to have to end the session here. It's 25 to 11. This is a dinner with the business council members. So we'll get to that tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Next stream, whenever that's going to be. Hopefully not too long because I want to crack on with this. I'm really enjoying it. So what I'll do before the next session, we'll read the reports on camera. We'll just quickly finish by looking at these. So Energy Protection Act at 49%. It's gone up. But it's gone through. 45 minutes of playing games together. That's pretty cool. And that has led to balanced energy prices. The energy prices went high for a short moment, and now they've gone down again to balanced. Ooh, that's pretty good, I think. And Codex, what's the Codex entry? History, Energy Protection Act. We have added to history book. We've added to the history books. We've added to the history books. Right. I think we'll have to leave it there. I'm busting for the bathroom. And we'll catch up on all of this next time. We'll start with dinner. Is it dinner? Dinner. We'll start with dinner. A nice sedate start. And then we'll look forward to some big decisions. Budget meeting and speaking with the leaders of our wings. That's got to be just around the corner as well. So we've got some exciting things to look forward to, pivotal things to look forward to, because the budget is a serious matter, and talking to the wing leaders, constitutional reform, very serious. So big decisions ahead, big conversations to be had. The president's job is nowhere near done. There's no rest for the president. I'm beginning to see now why, you come in with your hat on, your glasses straight, your jet black beard, your tie all nice, your suit on, your hat on straight. 2 terms later, Mr. Rain, after years of this decision-making, talking, speeching, bloody hell, firing, your hat's crooked, your glasses are like that, your beard's got flashes of grey in it, your suits are all dishevelled, you're like that. Oh, I'm glad to be out. But anyway, go forth, folks. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, the rest of your afternoons if you're far, far to the west. And hopefully see you again soon. Next stream, I'm thinking potentially tomorrow, because I got football at 7:30, so I could do an impromptu kind of afternoonish stream. It would be Alan Wake. But I'm debating, because I've got a dentist appointment at 2:30. I'll be home for a reasonable hour. But depending on the news that I get, will depend on how joyful I'm feeling. Because if I get told I need root canal, I might not be quite so joyful. So we'll see. I mean, I won't be having any treatment done tomorrow. It's just an X-ray, but it's an X-ray because I've requested one, because I've got a massively sensitive tooth. So I do feel that there's some nerve damage going on, which usually is a sign for root canal. But anyway, we'll see. But yeah, I'll keep you posted. Keep your eye on the live stream channel. But anyway, thanks for your support, your advice, and for watching this evening and putting up with the constant tangents, but it's the way it is. You guys are as much to blame, because you keep asking me questions and you keep distracting me with comments, but keep doing it because I've enjoyed myself. Anyway, thanks, have a good one, and until next time, I'll see you soon.